These books, first of all, seeing that video of Kamala Harris and then these videos of Tim Walz the last few days, man, did we dodge a bullet. Lord have mercy. These books coming out,
Walking into the fire right now,
these
Scott.
books coming out, it can all be told now. I mean, I sat here all during the campaign and was assured Joe Biden was fine. Kamala Harris had the most organic, grassroots-driven campaign. The Democrats were unified. We had a campaign of joy, and everything was hunky-dory. That's what I was told night after night after night. And now all the books are coming out, and it's amazing because a lot of the people who were telling those lies are now going to get paid to write those books.
I think a lot of people,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that betrayal, being lied to their face about Biden's health, about the strength of the party.
Our own government from the White House podium lied to us about his condition and covered it up. And even Ron Klain, the former chief of staff, is now saying things that are crazy when you read them.
So lying is wrong, right, Scott?
Right. I'm going to hold you to that.
I agree.
I'm hold you to
I agree that we lived through the biggest scandal in modern American politics. John Avlon, yes.
All right.
Meanwhile,
who came up in the Trump era and understand how to respond to this moment. It is not enough just to go give interviews and say, well, their polling is coming down and they're getting more unpopular and we'll just get them in the midterms. People are showing up at my coffee hours and town halls right now and asking what they can do, not just what I'm doing, but what they can do. So we need leaders who understand how to leverage rallies, town halls, events, social media platforms to engage people constantly to say, we are a team. We are all in this together. We are going to raise our voices, fight back, and build something new in the rubble that Donald Trump is going to leave behind.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we have more bad news for the country because it seems as if the woke, radical, progressive left, they're going to take over the Democrat Party. Now, I think that this is honestly the biggest story in this country, to be honest with you, outside of the tariff stuff. I know that liberal media likes talking about the tariffs, but in the long run, the tariffs are going to be fine, okay? The country's going to be fine. But I'm not sure if the country will be fine with a radically left Democrat Party, right? That seems to be hell-bent on going full-blown socialist and communist, okay? Because we have new data points coming out every single day that suggest that the voters of the Democrat Party want the Democrats to be more radical, okay? We have this new 2028 primary poll where Kamala Harris is basically blowing out everybody. 48%, almost half, want Kamala Harris. AOC, Newsom at 10%, Shapiro at 9%, 6 Whitmer. Yeah, this is devastating for the country. Probably good for the GOP, but devastating for the country if Democrats happen to ever gain power again, because it's almost guaranteed that whoever is leading the Democrat Party is going to be a full-blown far-left lunatic. There's another poll here that is from Survey USA. They have 19% of voters see Kamala Harris is the leader of the party. 17% Obama, 14% Cory Booker, 8% AOC, 8% Sanders, 8% Jeffries, 6% Schumer, 4% Newsom, 4% Biden. Yeah, so again, it seems like Kamala Harris could be the front runner as of right now. Yes, I know it is still 2 years away from the Democrat primary. However, I think these polls definitely give us some insight in regards to how the Democrat Party base is feeling, okay, and what direction the party is going to go in, which is the whole point of me covering this, okay, because we really don't know what's going to happen in the future, but the Democrats want a socialist, right? They want somebody that's far left, and they want to double and triple down on wokeness. In fact, you have so-called Gen Z congressional candidates that are running in the Democrat Party that are saying, no, Democrats should not move to the right when it comes to cultural issues. No, the Democrats should actually double and triple down on wokeness, kind of like what Tim Walz advocated for just a few days ago.
How about on the cultural war issues, for lack of a better term, which did drive some voters, perhaps not all of them, and even Democrats acknowledged that particularly there was that clip of Kamala Harris talking about transgender surgery for prisoners, which they acknowledge in some states really hurt them. That is one sign of a social issue that drove some voters. Do you believe that Democrats went too far left on some social issues, and to win in the next cycle, you and others have to bring it back to the middle, and in effect soften a progressive or woke, as it's called by Donald Trump, some of those issues, and move towards the center?
Yeah, absolutely not. Democrats deciding that trans people are the reason they lost the election in 2024, it's ridiculous. It's offensive. And frankly, they are contributing to Trump's authoritarianism. The transgender community, the queer community as a whole, but particularly the trans community, have been often the first targets in authoritarian and fascist regimes, and that's happening right now. And people like myself, people in my line of work, studying, researching, and attacking fascism, have been warning about this for years. And Democrats didn't listen. A lot of people stayed home in 2024, and a lot fewer people voted against Democrats because of woke than I think a lot of people assume. A far bigger issue is that we aren't giving people something to vote for. So many more people stayed home in 2020 of pretty much almost all demographics because they didn't feel represented by either candidate. They didn't feel listened to by either party. And it isn't because of vulnerable communities. It's because these are parties being led by people who are out of touch and people that don't listen to their constituents.
Kat Abu Ghazala.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Okay, great news for the GOP, right? Only if we continue to win. But if we lose, it's going to be devastating because, again, we cannot allow these lunatics to gain power in this country. We cannot. If the Democrats want to go full-blown woke, fine, right? That seems to be what the Democrat voters want. Cool. But that means that we cannot lose, right? We cannot lose, okay? That's why this story to me is so important because it's like, okay, it's not that big of a deal for Democrats to continue to be more woke because honestly, that helps the GOP win, right? They'll just keep losing. But there is a chance that the GOP could lose. And if they do lose and we let these radical lunatics take over, especially considering what's happening right now and what President Trump is doing and how they will use that as an excuse to do everything on the progressive wish list that they've ever wanted to do. Yeah. Again, we have to put away the Democrat Party for the next 20 years. And we have the opportunity of a lifetime to do it because it seems as if the voters are hell-bent on making somebody the leader of the Democrat Party that is completely unelectable to sane people in this country. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, then let's do this. I want you to tell me your favorite Democrat right now from across the country. You can only pick one. I'm going to walk through all of you. Who is your favorite Democrat right now? Marie, from Illinois, you're going to start.
Pete Buttigieg.
And tell me why in a sentence.
He's already has experience being in the White House. He just left Biden's administration. He's very well spoken and he's very presidential, in my opinion.
Chris, in a sentence, who's your favorite Democrat and why?
My favorite Democrat is Jasmine Crockett because she is bold, she is progressive, she is not afraid, and she takes them on head on.
Colton, favorite Democrat and why?
Andy Bashir, because I think he showed that Democrats can govern both according to our values in a red state, but also, grow the state economically.
April, favorite Democrat and why?
Jasmine Crockett, because she says what everyone is thinking.
Justin, you're up.
I think Barack Obama. I think he's always been an invigorating leader, has been a unifying person, and has really gathered kind of everybody together.
Iman, you're up.
Bernie Sanders, he advocates for universal health care, taxing the rich, and making a better income inequality, goes for more for the union, stuff like that.
Tim?
Gretchen Whitmer. I think if we're going to turn to a new generation, we got to go to a governor, and she's a bold leader that's won several times in a purple state.
Yesenia?
I say Barack Obama. I feel like he's the only president that I can truly say that I trusted, and I would love him back in the office, but I know that's not possible.
Stephanie?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Bernie Sanders, because he has got the messaging just right. He knows how to talk to Americans in a way that they'll respond to.
Melissa?
I'd say Pete Buttigieg. He's smart, well-spoken, unafraid, and he listens to the people.
CJ?
He's relatable.
Old generation would be Obama, and then current would be probably Tim Walz. I like what he's done with Minnesota in terms of the education, public health that he's focused on. And yeah, that's what he's doing lately.
Deborah.
I'd say AOC. I like what she's doing virally, what she's trying to get people fired up, but without being too, well, she is kind of radical. And she's fired up and angry, but in a really kind of active way, in a really active, pardon the phrase, part progressive way. And I just really like what her messaging is. Practical.
Ashley.
Gretchen Whitmer, for me, she's in a purple state. She's been able to win multiple times and actually execute on legislation in that state.
Philip?
Hakeem Jeffries, no retreat, no surrender. Will come out and say what he's got to say and push aside whoever he's got to push aside and push back.
Debbie.
Bernie Sanders. I didn't want him as president, but I really like what he's done in the moment right now.
Yeah, so Democrats all over the place, but generally speaking, the direction that they're heading in is, okay, we like Bernie, we like AOC, we like Jasmine Crockett, all far left radical lunatics. Now, I am surprised none of these people said Kamala Harris, right? Which really tells you how much they don't actually really like Kamala that much, right, as a person. But they probably vote for her because she is the most recognizable name, right, considering how she was VP, right? So I'm just saying that it is clear the direction that they're moving in, who's going to win this Democrat Party civil war. And again, this is why I think this story is so important, because if we happen to lose, right, the White House, okay, if we lose control of Congress, the radical lunatics are taking over, right? And they're going to be much more radical than the old Democrat Party. Again, these are full-blown communists. These are socialists, and that is what the Democrat voters want at this point, right? That's what the Democrat voters want. So that's why it's super important that people stay engaged and understand that, hey, we can't fall asleep at the wheel, right? And we cannot let these people ever gain power and control of this country again, because they've already told us what their radical agenda is, right? We already understand that these people quite literally want to destroy the Constitution. This is what they're saying.
South Africa got over apartheid. Did they just go back to their Afrikaner racist constitution and be like, oh, we just need a couple of amendments. We just need a couple of changes here to make it work? No, they threw the whole thing out and started again, this time asking everybody. Wow. This time having a completely new delegation of all of the people of South Africa, not just the white folks, but not no white folks. And they came up with a new constitution. It's one of the reasons why the South African constitution is generally thought of as one of the best constitutions in the world. And ours continues to be a piece of crap.
So what laws would you kick out immediately? What laws are you saying it needs to get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, so the first one I have in my book is that I want to eliminate every single voter registration law.
Okay, so like what?
Well, we could eliminate all voter registration laws. See, when Democrats get in charge, we try to protect voting rights. We don't make voting easier. Now, I'm all for voter eligibility requirements. We might disagree about what those requirements should be, but I'm going to say that there should be an age limit to vote. I might say 16, you might say 18, but I'm not going to say 8. Right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to agree that there should be voter eligibility requirements. But once you're eligible, why do you have to pre-register? Why is that even a thing? It wasn't a thing in this country at the founding. We didn't have voter pre-registration in 1787. We didn't have voter pre-registration in 1821. We only started having voter registration, generally speaking, after the Civil War. Why do you think that is? It's because a bunch of freed African slaves were migrating up north, and all of a sudden New York was like, we need some registration up in here, right? A bunch of immigrants from Europe, mainly Ireland and Italy, were coming to New York. People were like, oh, we need some registration in here. If you're eligible to vote, you should be automatically registered to vote, and that is how they do it everywhere else but us. Everywhere else but us either has automatic registration or some other form of forced registration for everybody, so that you don't have this disconnect between eligible voters and registered voters. That's the first law in the book that we could change. And it's to see how that's different than just saying we have to protect voting rights. No. We don't have to protect voting rights. We have to expand voting rights so that the 90 million people that sat on the couch and sat out this last election between democracy and fascism, so that maybe they have a little bit of an easier time to get up off the couch and come.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Democrats are making it clear what they want to do, how radical their agenda is, right? Their Project 2029. Let's just rip up the Constitution and just get rid of all voter registration laws. Just let the illegals vote. Let everybody vote. They're going to have mandatory voting, right? And they will make sure there's never another fair and free election in this country again, right? That's what people got to understand. These people are radical as hell. They do not believe in law and order. They do not believe in borders. They don't believe in budgeting. They would spend $10 trillion on the Green New Scam. This is what they would do. They would absolutely ruin this country. And this is why it's so important that they cannot win again. Yes, it is good. It is good for the GOP in particular that the Democrats want to make AOC and Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris the leaders in the face of the party, because that means that they are going to have a much harder time winning in a general election. But if they happen to get lucky, right, and they do win, then again, the consequences are going to be devastating for this country, right? And I think that's what people need to understand, as it seems as if the progressives are going to take over the Democrat Party because the voters seem to be hell-bent on having more progressive, radical Democrats represent them. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.